As Hurricane Katrina was approaching, we knew this was going to be a catastrophe.
I didn't want to leave because I didn't know what we was going to be coming back to. I just was praying.
There is a house
People won't realize how big Katrina was.
It's too big to turn. It's gonna hit us.
All right. Hello, Traci. Hello, Shakespeare. Jamaal with BlackTree Media. This is Zena Moses with BlackTree Media, Roofire, all that stuff. So for you, Traci, this is a new thing. For us, we go back with Shake a little while, and
I know you said Shake. That means y'all. That's yes.
My people over there. Yeah.
So the reason I brought Zena into this first because she was like part of BlackTree. We was doing Source Awards way back and all that stuff. And also she
I know you got some stories to tell.
And also she's a survivor of Katrina, so I wanted her to chime in with her feelings on watching it. Traci, for you, I know that you're from Brooklyn, right? Are you from New York or you went to school?
I'm from Washington, D.C. I live in Brooklyn, but
you're from D.C.
Yeah.
Go, girl. Okay.
There you go.
but where we don't normally get all the effects of hurricanes, we might get some little, brush off, winds, little rain. For you just getting into this documentary, like how did it feel to like go through? Because first documentary, you got to watch so much footage. How did it feel just to watch all of this footage of what was captured from Katrina and look at that as a person that may not have had to deal with that as a person growing up?
Yeah. It was interesting. So first of all, I'm sitting here alone, but I'm representing a massive team of people that like also gathered and reviewed this footage together. And I think it was interesting because one of the things that was really apparent was the difference between the very kind of rare footage that we had, like what Shelton shot, who I still don't know how he had the presence of mind to like keep the camera rolling, and the footage that came from the media. I have a background in journalism. I've been a producer for cable news. I get how that sort of goes. But like one of the things that just really, really jumped out and then kind of developed into the storyline that you see in episode 3 is the way that the media coverage really leaned into some sort of pre-existing stereotypes, shall we say, about Black people. Versus the footage, like what Shelton shot, in which the humanity of the people of New Orleans really kind of shines through. I don't know if that's sort of answering the question that you were asking, but that sort of is the first thing that really, like in going through the footage, became really apparent.
Yeah. I mean, Shake, when you was doing this, I mean, you didn't feel like, yo, I'm doing this so it could be in when the levees and then this 20 years later and all. Were you doing this as I'm recording this because I don't know if this is what's going to be left behind? Like, what was your feeling recorded? Do you know like why? Can you take it back to that moment, like why you were like documenting this for yourself?
Yeah. Like I said, I guess for some it's gonna be repetitive. So like with Zen and yourself, so I was doing this already. Like in 2004, I did like a poetry DVD called Why Poetry, you know what I mean? And like, so with having that, like, and I was gonna record anyway. So like as you watch me, you see me saying, oh yeah, I'm on the way to Baton Rouge, right? Yeah, I'm on my way to the Superdome, you know what I mean? Like the most high I feel all of my steps. Like I thought I was headed one way and I had to go another. Like the awareness and with the video cameras just was one of those things where like even you could see me just kind of document, but I was doing this before. Like whatever mission I was on, like to record my story and gather my poems and watching other people perform and you know what I mean? Like traveling like that, wherever I would have been recording. So I'm gonna say that's number one. When I knew the storm really was up on us, like I charged everything I had and thank God I had 3 full batteries, you know what I mean? And I had a bunch of tapes. So when the year before I survived the house fire, so I lost some things. I lost a lot of pictures and stuff. I lost some video. I lost like, a lot of memories. So like this go around, I just was like, okay, cool, man. I'm gonna have to make up for some of this stuff that was lost in the house fire and I need to keep at least these tapes. And like my hard drive and my computer, I don't talk about that a lot, but that was in like my truck. Like, you know what I mean? I just needed to get to the truck. So yeah, I just was gonna be on that. You know, Jay, I was gonna be, you know, like in some kind of recall mode. If I'd have made it to Baton Rouge and got with the poets, I'm sure, you know, just like I got with them later after I finally got out of there, we was gonna have a reunion, you know what I mean? And so and then I had my frat brother that, you know, like once we got out, they took us in because no hotels didn't want to let us come into, you know, Baton Rouge at the time. Matter of fact, they had an old black man about to pull a gun out on me because we had so many people in my truck. And he the one that ran me off the property and like got me to get everybody in the truck and get away from there. I was like, no more rooms. I was like, man, we just getting out of here. We, you know, it seemed like you have some rooms, you know, but that's a whole nother story. I was gonna record anyway, man. And then once I went through that and I finally was able to catch up with them and get my video camera back, they got interviews, you guys probably, you know, I don't know if you'll ever get a chance to see it. So maybe I'm thinking about doing a podcast of like some of the poetry, Zena, that and all of the shows we used to do. They got different things that I have that I just want people to get a chance to see because they got some stories that they shared with me to the, you know, by the time they got to me. So, you know, Traci said it before, like in a sense as to that has to be hard to pick everybody's story, man, and go through everybody's stories and decide what you're going to use because I'll tell you, and being home and just watching 2 episodes, you know, with a few, you know, people with me and my cousin Kussy is like, man, they can't really watch that story without telling you their story. It's like, if you sit next to them watching a story, they're gonna interrupt you and they're gonna, man, I was on Claiborne and Orleans and I was under the bridge and you can't help them. You know, you can't like knock them for, yeah, they have a story and all their stories are just as important as ours, you know, so it's one of those things where I just give things that I had a video camera, man, because, you know, we do have a lot of people that use hyperbole. You seen Campos got in a little trouble with that, you know what I mean? And so, you know, you know, exaggeration is major where we from. So, you know, people, yeah, we was in there and this happened and that happened. Well, I'm just glad I was able to kind of show really what was going on in that for the most part. So.
Traci, I want to go back to the media narrative. I know, like you say about it in part 3, but I know in part 4, I forget the young lady's name, but she needed medicine and her family went and said, yo, we looted, we got you medicine. And she was like, I could have got killed. And we seen the clips of Bush talk about what would happen. That narrative hasn't gotten better. It's gotten worse, it seems like, you know, over the years. You know, just the way we have to do stuff to survive is looked at as criminal and other people do it. It's like, oh, they heroic, they did what they had to do. Like how did as proximity as you know with Ryan, with these people involved, like how did having these people involved like help shape that narrative? And then I got one more question after that I want to.
Yeah, well, we worked with the proximity team, which included both Ryan and the executive producers. It's 2 fabulous Black women executive producers. And so they watched cuts and provided, you know, notes and sort of their input and feedback. And obviously proximity is like just the best when it comes to being storytellers in ways that see and recognize the humanity of Black people. And so their guidance and notes were, you know, obviously very much aligned with that. I mean, I myself have been Black my whole Black life. And I kind of brought my understanding of Black people to it, that we are not, in fact, looking to become animalistic predators against one another the moment that the situation kind of presents itself. And I also understood and really wanted to convey in this series that none of these things that you see causing harm to people, or most of them, were created by the storm, right? Which is to say, in the first episode, we kind of reveal that Katrina is really an environmental justice issue, because you had man-made impacts on the natural environment that had always kind of protected New Orleans from the full force of the storms. In a previous version of the cut, we had like a whole hurricane party thing, basically talking about all the years that it seemed like the big one was going to happen and it didn't. And just kind of the logic of sort of people's thinking about it. But you sort of see how these man-made impacts left the city vulnerable, more vulnerable than it had been, and that land had been disappearing for decades before Katrina ever came, and that the people who are most vulnerable on the back end of it are the people who are the most vulnerable on the front end, right? And so that's not something that was created by the storm. In the second episode, we see the sort of the Hurricane Betsy story, that this has happened before. It was knowable that this could happen. The lower ninth has been completely underwater in this same way before, that this is a compounded catastrophe for this community. And yet you still had a system of levees that were not built to withstand the force of what would happen. In episode 3, the media narratives, not new, not a new thing. In episode 4, state violence against Black people, not new. In episode 5, the way that discriminatory housing policies played into the system of recovery in ways that had disparate outcomes for some homeowners versus others. And so for me, I really wanted to make clear that Katrina revealed these things and exacerbated these things, but these are things that have always existed and continue to exist to this day. So I think that thing that you're saying about like we continue to struggle with it is because these sort of systemic institutional things have been so pervasive and persistent in this country and in Black life in particular in ways that still have not been remedied today.
And last question for Z and Shake, like just being here, like I know for us it's all news, but for people that's there, like how do you think I know those wounds aren't healed, but to watch this stuff, is it re-traumatized? Is it still helping to heal? Or is it just like how is that feeling for you guys as people that were on the ground in this situation?
Well, I mean, like Traci said, most of these things are still being, impacted. We still dealing with these things. So when I watched it, I'm gonna say the first 5 minutes, the opening scene is almost like I felt my heart just drop, like literally walk back in time. And you start going back as you watching it, you're going back, like you say, when you're watching someone else's story, you see your own story, and then you start replaying in your head, like, man, what would my life have been if those things didn't happen, if we were more prepared? I mean, I pretty much lost my whole family at that time, and not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, married couples divorced after that because of just the mental impact of it, psychologically, financially, physically. It's still being felt. It's still being felt. So I was telling my friend who was coming here, people are doing all of these Katrina anniversary, shindigs and organizations and parties and, concerts and this. And it's like, you want to celebrate the resilience of New Orleans, but I still can't quite celebrate it because we still fighting. We're still fighting for the bare minimum, and we'll never be who we were, So it's I can't even say bittersweet, Yes, I'm thankful we have so many creatives that are keeping the history and the information out there, because I mean we're all being whitewashed and all disappearing, our stories are disappearing, but it's still hard. It's still hard to see it, and still feel it. Like literally, it's like you're going back in time.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I would say the same thing, Zena. So it's one of those things where, like, I know that I had to build up over time to, have to, being able to deal with this and going back into some of the old archives. I don't watch it all the time. And I do know, like, I can look for things to happen around like anniversary times. And then sometimes I get calls out of the blue. So I'll constantly have to go through it. I know I'm a truth teller and a storyteller, and people look for me to give the truth and to tell the truth. And so it might be painful for me, but if it's something that can help other people, that's why I do it. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things. I know to open up and to see me like breaking down and crying, like, and everybody just knows Shake to be, big, tough, strong dude, man. I've been broken down. So that's why I'm in H-Town right now. I couldn't see it no more, Z. I couldn't be out there and like, they'll say a couple of blocks over, like they got houses that still haven't been touched. You know what I mean? Like we know when we driving through and where we going, we see, man, that's Katrina right there. It's like whoever lived in that house, it never ended, you know what I mean? For them too, and so, but mentally we watching a lot of things change. The gentrification stuff is real. I'm not going to take away or discredit anybody else. I just think they made it harder for our people to get back. And I know the projects ain't something to speak on like it's You know, one of the big things I always felt like if they painted the bricks or did something different with it, like it could work out. Because I knew great people that lived in the projects, but I know a lot of them people couldn't come back home either because they turned into mixed house, you know, income housing. I grew up in the Iberville with my cousin and them. I went to Elberwick with some of them kids, you know what I mean? But I also lived uptown. I lived New Orleans East. So all areas and people that I was around, you know, was devastated. So it is hard to go back and track it, and it's kind of tough. But I would say, man, I do it because I still got it in me. I know, like, if somebody, you know, using my video, you know, they just want maybe some of my words to go with it to back, you know, back it up or whatever the case may be. And I can only give a glory to God, man. Like, if he didn't want me to be there, I wouldn't have been there. You know, so it's just one of those things where, like, yeah, man, we're gonna be where we're supposed to be. And if you moving spiritually, that's how it's gonna happen. Now you just keep going on your own and doing your own thing, then he might be going on the wrong road, but spiritually, something I tell me, like it told me to get from down there for a little while. And I'm just trying to build up enough so I can come back because they still have a whole lot of work, you know, to do in New Orleans. And I mean, not just physically, I'm talking about mentally. You know what I mean? I did it before, but
from your New
you know,
Orleans sister still there. Thank you, Shakespeare. We love you. We appreciate everything that you have been doing, brother. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Traci. Thank you, Z. Thank you, Shake. Thank you, Nat Geo. Thank you, The Market. And thank you, Proximity, for the time. Appreciate y'all, man. Love y'all. Y'all do y'all thing.